and enjoy the show.
Good evening, friends. It is once again time for This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs. I'm Hobbs, he's Ben, although some reason you're not. And you're muted too, buddy. I can't hear you.
I don't know what is going on with the names thing, but it is not showing up right.
Well, I think that by now people probably know who we are, so it really doesn't matter. Anyways, thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. It is, like I said, This Week in Clown World with Ben and Hobbs. I'm Hobbs, he's Ben. You can spend your time with a lot of different podcasts, but you decided to spend it with us, and for that we appreciate you very much. Ben, how are you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing well. We're trying to go live on Rumble, so we're going to see how that goes.
All right, that sounds good. Let's hope that really takes off. So
yeah, I mean, you're the one that turned me on to Rumble. I mean, how did Rumble start? I mean, what do you?
Well, the only thing that I know about it is it's like many other alternatives to the kind of Silicon Valley big three of Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Started out, and some people decided that it would be a good place to put their money. Some tech people took a look at the source code, and they said, okay, this it looks like it's a sound setup, and they're using their own servers, so they're not dependent on like Amazon Web Services the same way that Parler was. Dan Bongino was an early investor, put a bunch of money into it. He got some of his friends to jump on board, and now it is the video streaming platform of choice for people from all over the political spectrum. It's not just a conservative echo chamber. Tulsi Gabbard is on there. Rand Paul is on there. Glenn Greenwald is on there. Like I said, Dan Bongino is now on there exclusively. He quit YouTube. So,
well, I just got a notification on Rumble that it says we're live on it, so we'll see if anybody shows up. I heard you get a bigger cut of super chats on Rumble than with YouTube.
We're not monetized on YouTube, and I don't know what the super chat threshold is on Rumble. But if you guys have Rumble and you want to listen to us over there, we'd appreciate the like and subscribe. Even if you don't want to listen to us over there, go over there, subscribe, get our numbers up, get our views up. Maybe we'll be able to monetize it. Who knows?
Who knows? Interesting week in Clown World. We actually have had quite a few things.
Oh, Canada! Do we have a story that is taking the whole world by storm? The truckers ride while Trudeau hides.
He got the sniffles.
Apparently, not even that. He was just exposed. His test came back. His test came back negative. He is triple jabbed and boosted. Everybody says that there's no reason for him to be quarantining, but he's quarantining for the recommended 5 days. But the crazy thing about it is that a lot of those truckers up in Canada aren't even in Ottawa yet. And probably by the end of his 5-day quarantine, every square inch of pavement is going to have a truck on it. And they are going to stay there until all of this nonsense gets rolled out. I don't know. Have you heard
Maple Bound and Down?
Yeah. Yes, indeed. So we got a couple of new people over here on the Facebook.
Holy shit! It pushed us out to Facebook. I guess we haven't said enough no words yet.
I guess not. We got this Tommy Trees and Joshua Rosenbaum Jr. Welcome, guys. I don't think I've ever seen you guys comment before. That's pretty good. See if you can share it out there if you enjoy what we do over here.
Yeah, Trudeau a true hoe. Yeah.
Yeah, I prefer to call him by his birth name, or what should be his birth name, of Justin Castro.
Just I've seen that, and I don't even think that could be considered a conspiracy theory. I mean,
no.
When you see the young Castro put by Trudeau, it's like a copy.
Yeah, and then especially if you throw a picture of young Pierre Trudeau into the mix, it's like he there. Yeah,
It
it's
just
not.
fits a perfect progressive stereotype that his dad would be a cuck.
Yes, indeed. So have you heard anything about the numbers of these truckers? Because I heard something today. This morning on Infowars, they had a call in, like the whole day for the morning show. The whole 3 hours was devoted to truckers and Canadians calling in, and one guy laid some numbers. But I want to hear what you've heard so
I
far.
have not heard, I was just going to comment that it's so hard to figure out what this real story is because, on one hand, you have the leftist media who's not even reporting on it or who is saying, yeah, it's not even affecting anything. And then you have the other end of the spectrum that's like, store shelves are empty. There's 50,000 truckers out there. So it's like, where is this story supposed to land at?
Yeah, yeah. The media is doing everything they can to bury the story and make it seem like old Justin Castro's words of oh, it's a fringe minority. It's they're not that big of a deal. Or they're trying to invent this narrative, but apparently the numbers are amazing, and every town they pass through, people are out in the middle of the Canadian winter, waving flags, holding signs, cheering the truckers on, and there's video proof of it. You
I've
know,
never
you can
understood
take a look.
I've never understood how Canada gets a reputation of being a leftist cuck country if it's just because of Trudeau. But I mean, you have a lot of farmland in Canada
Hmm.
that, I mean, it seems like there's a lot of ground there that should be considered, conservative just because of the way that people typically live in farmland are not a bunch of SJW progressives.
Well, that's just the thing. Canada is such a sparsely populated and rural country that you have it's almost like if you extrapolated out the state of Illinois into
Mhm.
a full size country. You know, Illinois has Chicago and Cook County and a whole bunch of farmland. And it
Yes.
always swings blue because you have that one massive dense population center and a whole bunch of sparsely populated other things. But this this caller that called into InfoWars this morning, he's monitoring some kind of like a GPS and CB radio monitoring app or something called Zello. I don't know if anybody out there has any
Sure. I know all
experience with
about
it.
Zello. You bet.
Okay, yeah. So he's monitoring this, and he's saying the the convoy or the convoys, the converging mass of trucks that's getting all the media attention is what is on the Zello app channel known as Convoy West, and it's coming in from the west side of the country, and it is roughly 50,000 trucks coming in from the west. Now, there's also Convoy East, which is roughly 12,000 trucks coming in from the eastern side of the country because there's a lot, because Ottawa, I guess, is like off in the east side.
Mhm.
So then he said, additionally to that, there is around 2,500 U.S. truckers at the border awaiting entry into the country with an expected 19,000 more on the way. So this is big. This is 50, 19, that's 69 plus 12, that's 81 plus the other 2,500. Yeah, that's 83,000. That's like a division if we're
Yeah, you
putting it
can't
into
really
military
fake a bunch
terms.
of people on Zello either.
Yeah.
Um, so that's probably a pretty decent number,
Hmm.
and the corporate media isn't going to report on that obviously because it ruins a whole shitload of narratives.
Right, but the internet being what it is, there's video proof out there. They can't contain this. If this was even the 1980s, they probably would be able to contain it. But everybody is a journalist these days that has a supercomputer with a high def camera in their pocket, and you can't stop the signal, man.
So what are they hoping to accomplish, I guess, with this whole convoy?
Well, the truckers have there's a vaccine mandate being
Right.
put on truck drivers, and in some parts of the country, there's a mask mandate being put on truckers as well.
In
To
their
in
trucks?
yes, yes, to include driving in their trucks. And what they're hoping to do is Ottawa is the capital of Canada. It's the Washington D.C. of Canada. They're hoping to go in and gridlock the capital city so thoroughly and so inconvenience the political class until they are like no more mandates. Because right now it's about 15% of Canadian truckers are unvaxxed. 85% are vaxxed. But these truckers that are all going to Ottawa are not against vaccines, they're against the mandates. They realize that this is a matter of personal choice. And there are plenty of truckers that are vaccinated that are showing solidarity with their brethren heading to Ottawa to say that yeah, we took your stupid shot, but just because we did doesn't mean that we're going to try and ostracize and get our buddies who may not want it fired.
Right. So I don't know. Do you think they're going to cave on this once? I mean, once their store shelves are empty, they'll finally cave, or I don't.
I certainly hope that they cave before the people of Ottawa and Canada in general really begin to suffer. But a lot of the Canadian people are, they're like, we understand that this is a risk, that goods might not be delivered to our stores while you guys are out there fighting for freedom for all of us. It's not just a trucker mandate, it's a Canadian-wide mandate. And one of their other demands is that Justin Trudeau resigns. So we'll see how that goes.
I don't see that ever happening. That guy.
Yeah. Well, the way that the parliamentary system is set up there's a guy called the Governor General, I think. Yeah, Governor General, who can call a vote in Parliament to basically liquidate the government and fire Trudeau.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. So that would be that would be one of their little checks and balances. That would be a pretty interesting turn of events if that was to come to pass. And these truckers, they know that they're in it for the long haul, pun intended, the long haul, and and they've got food and water in their cabs and in their trailers. They're ready to hunker down. There's a GoFundMe account with over $7 million raised. The logistics are set up. The people of Ottawa are by and large on their side. So if any trucker needs anything, somebody in the area can walk it out to them, because they sure as hell ain't going to be driving anywhere in Ottawa for the foreseeable future.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see if they can shut down the capital.
Yeah. I think that they're going to get it accomplished unless the military and the police force decide that they want to intervene and kick people out. But even then, the optics of doing something like that would be, it would turn more people against them. You're going to call in the military and the police to take out a bunch of truckers who just want to be left alone.
When we've got some issues with truckers here in the States too, there's some new regulations and guidelines coming up that go into effect like the first week of February. Like they're mandating that they need additional schooling and certifications to become a trucker. Mm-hmm. And where we're already incredibly short on truckers as it is, this is probably just going to fuck everything up. I mean, this came to be under the Trump administration, but they realized that there's a shortage and they delayed it. But Biden has just pushed full speed ahead with it. Mm-hmm. So we could see huge delays in a lot of items, everyday items, and just our whole supply chain just crashing if these go into effect.
Yeah, so over here we got a couple of comments. Luis Ramirez says, sounds like a true brotherhood. Hopefully they're wary of traitors and false flags. Yeah, that's one thing.
Everybody is anymore.
Yeah, that's the one thing that somebody that was on the InfoWars call-in show this morning was saying. He's like, if anybody out there, and the truckers they're well aware, they don't want this to turn into the Canadian version of a January 6th type scenario. He's like, if anybody out there starts pulling a Ray Epps and starts stirring shit up, shut them up, shut them down, and escort them out of the area.
Yeah, the Glowies really overplayed their hand on January 6th. Now, we were talking the other day, and you're like, everybody's a Glowy.
Yeah.
I mean, Everybody assumes that anymore. Anybody that is a little too rambunctious or is throwing some crazy ideas out there is like glowy.
Yeah, and Luke White here says, "Can't wait to hear about the trucker insurrection where 0 armed people threatened their democracy." Yeah, yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, again, it's the same. It's the same thing as the January 6th. You know, the most heavily armed demographic on planet Earth showed up in 1 million strong numbers with no weapons, and they're calling it an insurrection.
Trying to find us on Rumble. Should just be Rhodes #2 Liberty. If you're trying to find us on Rumble, just search for Rhodes and #2 Liberty.
Yeah, it might be. Is it all one word or is it
all one word? Yep.
Okay, cool.
I'll have to post a link for that towards the end here.
Okay, cool. Yeah, yeah.
We're all
yes, we are. And our website link is broken. Oh no. I'll have to
yeah, I guess. Shit. Thanks for the info, people listening. We'll look at what's going on with roadstoliberty.com. Yep. Maybe we didn't pay our bill. But we run on hopes and dreams here, so sometimes maybe a bill gets broke. We'll look into it.
Hopes and dreams and spicy memes. That's the coin of the realm around here.
Yeah, and speaking of spicy memes, shout out to the man behind the Roads to Liberty Instagram page. Well, I got it to come up. I don't know, maybe your website's broken. Roads2liberty.com. I'll throw a sticky note. But shout out to Token, aka Nathan, the man running the Instagram page. His spicy memes have been showing up all over the place.
And the spicy comments. He has like a ritual, I think, where he wakes up in the morning, stretches, and gets a cup of coffee. Owens. Yeah, him and Spike. Spike
Cohen. Yeah.
Yeah. Spike goes out and bullies federal agencies. Nathan goes over and bullies Occupy Democrats.
I mean, when people are putting together memes made up of Nathan's comments on Occupy Democrats, that's something to be proud of.
Yeah, that is. A lot of people are shouting him out. Like, Roads to Liberty went to town on OD. Yeah. But yeah, getting back to the trucker convoy and the January 6th thing, I think that there has been I don't know if it's a misconception or if it's a genuinely held belief amongst the people that are implementing these sorts of, these tyrannical dictates and whatnot, that the government is the country. And any opposition to the government, the mandates, the laws, all this other thing is unpatriotic. I saw that, like, oh, these guys, they call themselves patriots, but they're out there storming the Capitol and trying to kidnap congressmen and senators and whatever. And I have to say that, at least as far as America goes, I don't know if I can speak for Canada because they have a different setup than we do here, parliamentary system, and I don't know.
I read the wiki page for it, and I still don't know what the fuck was going on. So
yeah, but Canada is a different setup from us. I don't even know if they have a constitution like we do. But the thing about America is that America is not its government. And America is not even its constitution. The Constitution does a good job of outlining the structure of the government that is meant to run the country of the United States. But America is a set of ideas, a set of ideals, and its people. And when your government is passing laws, passing mandates, and doing all sorts of tyrannical things that run counter to the ideals, and people of the United States that make up this experiment that has been going on for almost 250 years strong, it is the height of patriotism to push back against it. It says right there in the Declaration of Independence that when the governments that bind us together no longer carry out the will of the people, it is your solemn duty to alter or abolish it. These are our founding documents that lay out, what is the proper course of action. So for the the military members, the policemen, public servants, politicians out there, they can serve America, the idea, or they can serve America, the government. And they're going to have to figure out that you can only have one master, and these two entities are rapidly and inextricably becoming mutually exclusive entities.
Mhm.
So until the government gets back on track with that idea and ideal of serving the people here in this country.
Speaking of that, Nebraska, where we're located, passed a Convention of States resolution. So that brings the grand total up to 17. I think we need 34 for it to actually happen.
Yeah.
So we're halfway there, living on a prayer.
Yeah. I'm still a little bit wary about a con and what kind of shenanigans that they can come up with. You know, it could go either way.
I mean, at this point, how much worse could they really fuck it up?
Yeah. I don't know, man. Don't give them any ideas.
Right.
They'll be like, all right, bet.
My theory on that is, though, they'll hit 34 and they just won't acknowledge it. I mean, so the federal government, okay, you got 34, we don't care.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
Yeah, that's especially this government nowadays. They don't really give a crap about any of the constitutional setups or
right.
Or
and that, speaking of constitutional setups, have you heard the theory about the Supreme Court justice nomination?
I was going to segue into Justice Stephen Breyer. I don't know if he actually is retiring or if he was voluntold for retirement. But yeah, what have you heard?
Well, I just think of the sponge. How many times do we have to tell you, old man? The theory I'm talking about is the one where they're saying he's going to nominate Kamala. Have you heard that one?
I have. They've realized that Kamala Harris is so awful as vice president, so horribly unlikable that they're going to try and get rid of her by nominating her for the Supreme Court, and that'll actually kill two birds with one stone. It'll get Kamala out of the vice president seat, and it will fulfill Joe Biden's promise of electing a black woman to the Supreme Court.
I think, race card, whatever. Her dad was half black, half white. she's that plus half Indian, so she's like 25% black, best case. I don't know why black people put up with that shit, letting her claim a lot of first as being black.
Mm-hmm.
And especially being the first black woman on the Supreme Court. I mean, that. And then here was the other thing on that. So she would get appointed to the Supreme Court. Biden would pick Hillary Clinton as the VP. And then sometime after Hillary Clinton's the VP, he would step down due to health reasons.
Yep.
Bam.
President.
Hillary's your president.
Yeah, and it could happen. It could absolutely happen.
As much power as the Clintons have in the Democrat Party, I could imagine that the wheels are already in motion on this.
Mm-hmm. Because she knows that she can't win an election.
No, she's so unlikable.
Yeah. So this type of political maneuvering and this Game of Thrones nonsense that they're playing is really the only way that it's going to be her turn.
And I don't know how much better Hillary's chances are than Biden's. I think they're both equally disliked at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Biden was goofy Uncle Joe for most of the last election, and now he's gone to obscenity-laden Grandpa Joe at this point.
Yeah. Now the problem with that plan, though, is it's going to rely on Kamala getting approved in the Senate to be the Supreme Court nomination.
50-50, she's the tiebreaker.
But she's also the nominee, so she will not be able to, because it's a conflict of interest.
That's a gray area. It's never happened.
Right. Yeah. I think though that the Supreme Court would come in and weigh that there's a distinct conflict of interest. So unless the Republicans can persuade Sinema and or Manchin to come to their side, or the Democrats can persuade somebody like Mitt Romney or Liz Cheney to come to their side, then there might be deadlocked until the 2022 midterm elections.
I don't. Where did you see that somebody said that she would have a? I don't know that she would be struck from voting for conflict of interest.
There's a political consultant. I think he was an Obama political consultant named Lawrence Tribe, who wrote an article in I think it was the Washington Post, where he outlined why not only would the vice president not be able to break the tie on a Supreme Court nomination if the vice president was the nominee, but a vice president should not be able to cast a tie-breaking vote in a Supreme Court nomination, period, is what this Lawrence Tribe guy laid out in the Washington Post article back in during the Trump years. And somebody asked him, like, hey, do you still feel the same way? And he's like, yeah, I do.
I guess maybe I agree more if you're saying they can't vote at all, as opposed to just she can't vote because she would be the nominee. I guess I could see them making the case that way.
Yeah.
But that is just some crazy shit if that would happen. And Trump had nominated, it was a district seat or something. I forget. He nominated a black woman to some federal circuit court.
Mm-hmm.
And it had 13 no votes, and all of them were Democrats. So it's interesting that I remember Schumer was one of them. It was kind of a big story at the time. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting that they're just saying they want a black woman in there, but they already had the chance for a black woman on a judge's seat, and they said no.
Yeah. Well, so it'll be interesting to see what unique combination of stunning and brave Biden comes up with for his.
I hope they're transsexual.
Like I want a black Muslim male to female transgender lesbian in a wheelchair to be the Supreme Court nomination. They are above reproach.
They'll be untouchable.
They are literally Christ.
Anytime any Supreme Court disagreed with them, they're either misogynist, racist.
Yes. All of the above. You are every istophobic thing under the sun.
Oh, that would be amazing. I mean, I had another national story about Biden to touch on was his stupid son of a bitch moment. But I think everybody saw that.
Yeah, it was only a matter of time. He's getting cranky. Like you said, he went from being like a cuddly Uncle Joe, ha ha ha, to being like just this grumpy, get off my lawn, angry, senile old man.
The senile old grandpa that you're worried is just going to drop the N-word for at a family dinner when somebody brings up something. That's a territory joke. As easy as he is flipping out expletives in his grumpy old age, I guarantee this man has dropped the N-word unironically.
Yeah.
With a hard R on it.
Yeah.
In his life.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. I'm waiting for him to get his terminology mixed up. I said this back during the election that I was hoping he'd, in his dementia-ridden senility, mix up the people of color is the PC term these days. I want him to drop a colored people or colored person.
I think it's only a matter of time.
Oh, if it hasn't happened already.
Yeah, before he just goes off talking about something in his youth, he'll bring up Corn Pop again, but he'll drop a hard R talking about Corn Pop. A couple of stories. Have you seen what's been going on in Washington, where they're becoming the new socialist capital of America? They're fighting San Francisco at this point. Really? Two stories. Did you see the wokest language out of the University of Washington? I think you sent me the link. Yeah, let me. They also had the thing with the military operating within their state parks,
Really?
which for they said it made them feel threatened, um, and people were complaining to the Parks Department about the military operating the state parks, so they've kicked the military out of the state parks. Let me bring up this University of Washington story. It was kind of amazing, the language.
Oh, and I had to double check here, but also, yeah, Washington schools are banning a graphic novel about Holocaust survival called Mouse.
That
So,
was I remember reading that. They've banned that?
yep.
Dang it.
I'm not 100% sure what their reasoning
I
behind it was. I'm
I
going
just
to
think that
assume.
Babylon Bee article more and more that the KKK is closed up shop because the progressives done more than they've ever been able to do.
Yep.
Nothing in mouse. What was their reasoning for the mouse thing?
I don't know. I just saw somebody post a comment about it on a picture that a friend posted. Um, but I imagine it's probably something stupid like, oh, there's swastikas and people doing the Sieg Heil salute, and that's triggering, or some stupid shit like that. And it's like, yeah, you kind of miss the whole point of the graphic novel if you're worried about the iconography rather than the message. It's context matters, people.
So the University of Washington thing is they've released a document talking about how they want their vendors to not use problematic words that they decided were racist, sexist, ageist, or homophobic. For example, do not use the words grandfather, housekeeping, minority, ninja, and lame.
What?
Yeah. Minority implies a less than attitude towards a certain community. The word grandfather is, of course, racist. The guide says a problematic word because the term was used in a way to exempt people from a change because of conditions that existed before the change. Housekeeping is a no-no because it can feel gendered.
What?
Yeah. When referring to work, do not use the term manpower, man hours, or man in the middle.
My God, this here you go, man. Like I don't, God, it's been so many years since I've read it. But who was Winston Smith's buddy in the Newspeak department that was like so amped up to cut words out of the dictionary?
I forget. I know. We're getting that way. I mean, this is in Washington. They're completely going to the far edge of the woke scale. Oh, here was another good one. Do not create work groups like if you have 3 different groups working on a project. Do not label them with colors such as black, red, or yellow because people could find it offensive. If you find vendors using these problematic words and phrases, ask them to avoid these terms and eliminate them from their documents because they are racist, ableist, or sexist. They include a link for all vendors to use they include a link for all employees and vendors on using proper words.
Yes. So rather than using color-coded work crews like black,
Luke,
red,
let
or
me just say,
yellow.
Luke, that is too spicy.
Yeah, disavow. but but yeah, it's like instead of using like black, red, and yellow as color coding, use a non-racial color coding.
Yeah,
like
how are you supposed to identify groups? I don't.
magenta, cyan, and umber. Like, what the fuck is any of these colors?
Speaking of grandfathering, one of the best things I saw was this race the lesbian couple that was using their mother's maiden names when they got married, and somebody commented, "You mean your grandfather's names?" Like, oh shit.
Ha! Got him!
Got him. While we're talking about Wokus, did you watch that anti-work thing I sent you? I want to play this for people because you didn't hear about this till I brought it up, right?
No, please. I didn't even see the link you
You
sent.
just heard me talk about it and didn't see
Yeah.
it. All right, so let me put this up. This is anti-work. It's a Reddit page for leftist wannabes, and somehow the founder of anti-work decided I don't know, they got on Fox News for an interview. So I'm just gonna put it solo here, and we're gonna enjoy. Get it playing here.
Over 1.6 million subscribers. Joining me now is the person who operates this anti-work group, Doreen Ford.
Hopefully the audio's
so
fine.
Doreen, why do you like the idea of being home, not working, but still getting paid by corporate America?
Yeah, so there's some misconceptions about the movement. So we're a movement where we want to reduce the amount of work that people feel like they're forced to do. And so we want to still put in effort, we want to put in labor, but we don't want to necessarily be in a position where we feel trapped. You just quoted from Office Space where that person feels very trapped in their job. I think we're calling for a society where there's less of that. But yeah, absolutely, people still want to do things. They just want to do things where they feel rewarded and they feel like they're in a good spot in their life and that their job respects them and stuff like that. There's varying
So Doreen, you're not being forced to work. This isn't slave labor. You've applied for a job, you've agreed to the terms and conditions of the employment, and you can walk away from that job at any time and quit. So I don't understand really what this is about, except it sounds like maybe people are just being lazy. Are you encouraging people to be lazy?
Just wait.
So I think laziness is a virtue in society where people constantly want you to be productive 24/7, and it's good to have rest. That doesn't mean you should be resting all the time or not putting effort into things that you care about. But I think one of the
what do you think is like a good work day? How many hours is a solid work day in your ideal society?
Sure. I mean, I think as much as people want. I mean, I personally work. I have like a 25 hour work weeks, which I think is fairly good. So I would like less work hours.
And what do you do, Doreen?
I'm a dog walker.
A dog walker. Okay.
Yeah.
And how?
So
how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
Sure, I'm 30.
You're 30. Okay. And is there something you want to do besides being a dog walker? Do you aspire to do anything more than dog walking, or is that kind of your pinnacle?
I love working with dogs. If I had to do this for the rest of my life, I wouldn't be super complaining. Dogs are wonderful animals. But I would love to teach. I would love to, work with people and stuff like that.
What would you teach, Doreen?
Philosophy mostly.
Philosophy.
Just
Of course.
Stuff like that.
Okay. Well, I would love to take your class, Doreen. I would just be taking notes the whole time. And you know what? A professor's a very similar schedule than something that you're imagining. So I think that actually might work perfectly for you. Listen, I think this is
so that was that.
Ooh, boy. So a 30-year-old tranny who has a menial make work job.
Hold on. We can't say that word. I think they use Janny now.
Whatever.
To get around the no word list. Yeah.
So a 30-year-old human being who has a tedious, menial make work job that works 25 hours a week and aspires to be a philosopher.
You know what I thought of when they said that? You ever see those posts where they're like, what are you going to do in the communist society after capitalism? And people post their jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, work on my farm. My farm? You mean our farm, comrade?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like so this person who is all of that I just said there is essentially a lazy communist who thinks that other people should carry them through life. Shocking.
Yeah.
Yes, I never would have imagined.
Interesting
Never
enough,
would've.
this burned down that movement's the subreddit. It went private. They got roasted to no end. That person, it turned out, had multiple sexual assaults levied against them.
Well, I guess that the 44% is going to be 45% before long if they keep bullying this person. Or is that too spicy too,
Oh,
Facebook?
boy.
I don't know. Disavow! Disavow!
But yeah, I mean, these people, they sit in those little echo chambers and don't realize how ridiculous they are. And I can't believe they went on Fox News. I guess there was some discussion on Reddit about whether they should go on Fox News or not, and the majority of them were like, no, don't go on. But this person, being the founder of that subreddit and sitting in their echo chamber all the time, thought, you know what? Fox News just needs to hear my message, and they're going to be anti-work, I guess.
Yeah, they probably thought that, any news is good news. And, bless Jesse Waters for not just taking the hammer. He was he was sarcastic and made the guy kind of look like just a lazy grifter. But I mean, there was a lot of material to work with there, and he just said, no. Sometimes just leaving it in its pristine natural beauty is the best.
Yeah, and he cut it fairly short too, because he could realize. I mean, he did his final zingers there. I mean, it only lasts about 10 seconds after I ended the clip, but yeah, that was all you really needed to summarize the progressive Reddit communists that are out there. That you couldn't find a better example than that.
Yep. Yes, and that's the thing, it's like this person wasn't an outlier. I imagine that it's a fairly good snapshot representation of the average r/anti-work Reddit subscriber.
A 30-year-old transsexual dog walker is.
Yes.
I'm curious how are those people getting? They must be on government programs.
Oh, have to be.
20 hours a week walking dogs, that can't pay. Somebody comment, I'll convert Fox News.
Yep, that's what they thought. Yep, shoot for the stars.
Narrator, they did not.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
And he worked a box. Another progressive bullshit thing. Joe Rogan versus Neil Young.
Congratulations, Neil. You played yourself.
I didn't even realize he was. I like there was something out there. There was 3 types of people that supported Neil Young, supported Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Neil Young's still alive.
Yeah, it was everyone under 30 was who's Neil Young. Everyone 31 to 60. Wow, I didn't know Neil Young was still alive. And everyone 61 plus. What's Spotify?
And speaking of token, again, his quality meme about Neil Young, I don't know if it was an alpha power move or just a spelling error, but he called him Neil Young in the meme.
Yeah, it's so stupid and so silly. Neil Young goes to Spotify and says, "Remove Joe Rogan or remove my music," and Spotify says, "Your terms are acceptable."
I'd like to see more people do that. Maybe just start thinning out the herd. I mean, it would have to be a pretty big name with 11 million listeners. I mean, it'd have to be huge for them to choose them over Joe Rogan.
Yeah, either like one huge name or a kind of a conglomeration of multiple larger names. But the easiest solution to all of this, instead of rage quitting Spotify, instead of going on these Twitter tirades, it just makes you look like a senile old man yelling at clouds. Neil, Go on Joe Rogan's show. See the evidence that he has laid out, and then make your decision. That's the way things are supposed to be done.
Yeah, and I'm not afraid to. I knew he was a musician, but I know nothing about the guy. I don't know why he thought his target audience would side with him on Spotify.
Yeah, I don't know. It's sad. He's got some good hits out there, but ironically enough, he sold the rights to his catalog a few years ago, and he kind of opened his mouth and stuck his foot in it. It's like, take my music down, and Spotify comes back with, actually, you don't have the rights to that music anymore, so it's not your decision. It's like, shit.
We're gonna profit anyways. Get out of here, old man.
Yep.
You probably thought other artists would join in. Somebody commented. Yeah, that didn't get very far, did it?
Nope.
I didn't even see many things being shown where other artists were supporting him and taking on Joe Rogan. Rights to Pfizer.
No, but it's almost as bad. He sold it to a British hedge fund called Blackstone Group. You know, one of these
Blackstone
giant
Group.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sounds like a mercenaries.
Yeah, it kind of does. Kind of does.
Speaking of Pfizer and rights, I didn't have this on our list of stuff. Did you see what Mark Cuban is doing?
About him opening up some kind of like online drugstore where everything's
Online
under $100.
Taking on Big Pharma, and he posts the prices too. He marks everything up only 15%.
Good for
and
him.
Then he throws like a couple bucks in there. Shout out to Mark Cuban for trying to fix our fucked up healthcare system since our government can't. He went straight to the people that make the medicine, got deals on getting them produced, marked it up 15%, added $5 for a pharmacy fee, and some of the stuff is just stupid how much it's being marked up. Like he was selling something a 30-day dose of was $200. Average pharmacy price was like $5,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, good for him. I disagree with Mark Cuban on a lot of stuff, but that's a good move.
Just throwing that out there in case people didn't see that. I mean, that's something to look. And I'm sure he'll probably get assassinated by Big Pharma at this point. But
here's the big question, though. Can you get on this website and buy ivermectin?
Viagra.
Yep.
One other, you'd sent me a video about the Great Reset 2.
Electric Boogaloo?
Yeah, did you want to talk about that at all?
Shit, I don't even remember what.
It was Sargon.
Oh, yeah, about the great narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the guy at the end there, the Scottish guy that's talking with Carl. Was like he's like, is he really calling it the great narrative? Is that really what they're calling it? Jesus Christ, he's worse than a Bond villain, because even a Bond villain disguises their missile launching base as like a big volcano or something. This guy's just got a big missile launching base out there with a sign that says "Welcome to my big missile launching base." Yeah, that's Yeah, the Great Reset is moving into God, the Klaus Schwab guy that is behind all of it is like the Scottish guy Leo was saying. He's like, he's not even hiding it. He's not ashamed of it or anything. I think that Klaus Schwab is in such an echo chamber that the thought that what he's doing could be perceived as evil doesn't even cross his mind. He's like
the fucking anti-work guy. He needs to go on Fox News.
Yeah. It's like, somebody comes back and is like, hey, Klaus, telling people that they're not going to be able to own anything and have to eat bug paste and like rent everything is like, people aren't going to go for that. That's pretty fucking evil, dude. And he comes back like, evil? This is saving the world. Like what's more noble than saving the world? It's like it doesn't even cross his mind that what he's doing it can be thought of as being evil and bad. He thinks he's saving the world. I think he's a true believer, and if he benefits out of it, that's just a happy accident, right? I don't know,
Yeah.
man. It's like it's bad. I mean, I'd say the guy
Well,
needs a
and
bullet, but he needs a wake up call.
some of those progressive Europeans, I'm sure they're stuck in a massive echo. I mean, they just hang around other rich Europeans and go to Davos and where'd
Mhm.
they go in freaking Colorado, Aspen or whatever in their private jets and don't ever talk to anybody else. So yeah, they're like the anti-work guy in reverse. You know, that guy's at the bottom of the economic scale and they're at the top and they're both in echo chambers.
Yep.
And you know, speaking of Europe, this Ukraine bullshit, I haven't ran into anybody that is like, yeah, we need to send a bunch of troops over to Ukraine. Maybe I'm in an echo chamber.
Yeah. I don't know, man. The whole Ukraine thing has me. I maybe I should get Alex to come back on and talk about what's going on over there. He sends me some links every now and again that I can, barely read.
Well,
'cause
Biden's like, we gotta send troops over there to defend Europe. Fucking Europe can defend themselves from Putin. Germany's economy alone is bigger than Russia's. France's economy is bigger than Russia's. The EU, their economy is like 5 times bigger than Russia's. Let them train up some fucking troops.
Right, yeah, and there's more people in Europe than there is in the United States. You don't have to worry about a ocean spanning logistics chain or anything like that. But the United States has been subsidizing Europe's social
Yeah, we need to
programs with our
cut that
military. Yeah, I know. NATO, bye.
Yeah. Bye, NATO. Good luck. Do your shit. We're over here.
Yep.
I would have
Yeah.
loved if Trump had pulled out of the UN. You know, he threatened to pull out of NATO at one point. Oh,
Yep.
geez. That would have been amazing.
He's kind of started extracting U.S. resources from certain United Nations programs. Pulled what out of the World Health Fund or whatever it was, and did some other things like you guys are just wasting our money.
Mhm.
And everybody made a big deal. It's like, oh my God, polio is going to make a comeback now without. It's like, no, it's not. No, it's not.
What is? I don't know. I understand NATO back in the day. Europe was trashed after World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Russia rebuilt their shit quicker. Needed to unite against communism because communism fucking sucks. But why? There's no need for NATO today besides to just bring in new pissant. What was that little piss? They brought in Montenegro or something.
Yep. Montenegro and Moldova and all these other little former Soviet satellite countries that are right there on Russia's border. It's like,
oh yeah, that's a good ally to have. What are they going to add? Like a couple Toyota Hiluxes?
yeah, basically, it's like we'll send a platoon and a 12-pack of beer. Godspeed, America. Help us. But yeah, that's just the thing. Remember what a big fucking deal the Cuban Missile Crisis was back in the 60s?
Mm-hmm.
When Russia was going to put ballistic missiles on a tiny island nation that was within trash raft distance of our shores and within missile launch distance of our nation's capital. It was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Almost sparked a nuclear war, nuclear annihilation of the human species.
Mm-hmm.
Big fucking deal. Averted at the very last minute, and everybody got on. Well, it's basically the exact same thing as we're doing right now in Poland and Ukraine and all these other former Soviet satellites. We're moving military materiel into these nations that are right on Russia's borders. It is an 8-hour drive from the northern Ukrainian border to Moscow.
Mm-hmm.
It's the Cuban Missile Crisis in reverse.
Well, and back then, I mean, you could make the decent argument that Russia was the bad guy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you trust the bad guy in the world to put stuff close? And the United States was the good guys. Russia's not the bad guy anymore. I mean, they're not the accepted world bad guy. I mean, United States is making the run for being the accepted bad guy in the world at this point.
Yeah, it's who's been invading countries over the last 30 years? The United States and NATO allies have been invading countries, toppling nations, very real, very kinetic wars have been levied against nations around the world by us, all in the name of spreading democracy and all of the other things. But there's still millions of people lost their homes, lost their land, lost their lives because of our ham-fisted involvement in their internal politics and regional politics. Meanwhile, Russia's just chilling, drinking vodka, smoking cigarettes, wearing Adidas, squatting in the street,
watching dash cam videos.
yeah, doing having a Slav good time, right? And meanwhile, we're like grinding our own military into dust, and now we're picking a fight with Russia. Stupid. So dumb.
Yeah, and Russia on paper, they do not match up. I mean, they've got nukes. They do not match up at all for anything with the states, except for the manliness of their military forces. But economy, equipment, Russia's equipment, everything, it could be bullshit, but everything says, it's run down. They don't have the money to keep it up to date. There's no reason that the United States needs to think that Russia is going to take them on head to head.
Right. And meanwhile, they've got one of the most inhospitable and impossible territories to invade and conquer militarily. I mean, it's one thing to say that you're going to station troops and weapons in Ukraine to push back an invasion, but to then say, like, okay, now we're going to roll into Moscow and take over Russia. It's like, guys, this has been tried before, and it never ends well.
Yeah. If Russia wants to go for it, I don't know. It seems like Ukraine, they had them a little bit of a surprise the first time. I don't think the second time it'll be as easy. Give it a go. Let him go at it. Fuck it. Let him waste a bunch of money.
Yeah. And the thing is everybody's talking about, the United States' position on this is this, or Europe's position is this, and Russia wants to do this and that. Has anybody talked to the people in Ukraine and asked them what their opinion is? Because I'm pretty sure that all of this war and saber rattling and potential nuclear heat death of the universe could be averted if you just did a census, took a vote. How should we do this? Do you want to split the country in two? This half goes with Russia, this half goes with the EU, much in the same way that Czechoslovakia split up back in the day. It can be done. You just have to be willing to listen to the people whose lives are literally stuck in the middle between the two main powers fighting over their little territory.
Well, and some people have been saying, well, Russia's trying to sponsor pro-Russia politicians and get them into power. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, we've never done that.
Oh, yeah. Installing puppet governments and in strategically important places, never. No,
America, no, not us. We're the good guys.
That's a conspiracy theory. But yeah, speaking of it, I guess Biden and the president of Ukraine, Zelensky, had a call, and it wasn't good. Biden's in there like, an attack is imminent, an invasion is imminent, you need our help, and the Ukrainian president's like, no, it's not. What are you talking about? It's like, our intelligence says that the Russians are literally hours away from storming your border, and the Ukrainian guy's like, our intelligence says no. What are you talking about? Take these billions of dollars in weapons and these thousands and thousands of troops, and like, please don't. We don't want any of this, because then that will signal to Russia that something's going on, and then they will invade, you doddering old codger.
There's some servers with old Burisma stuff on it that he wants them to grab.
And there it is.
Yeah.
Very tongue-in-cheek, but Ukraine is, in all seriousness, it is a corrupt
Oh yeah.
money laundering hub for not just the U.S., not just the Bidens, but for a lot of Western powers. Run a lot of money and shady operations through there because they can. So if Russia comes in and manages to take over, or in the at the very least a pro-Russia government decides to take over, then they can spill the beans on a lot of shady stuff, and we cannot allow that to happen.
Starts an info dump.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll
But-
have to see. I mean, that should be another update we'll have to do next week on what's going on there.
Yeah. Maybe next week I'll get Alex to come on and talk about what's going on over there.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to hear, because I told you I had a Russian friend and his take on Ukraine. I'd be curious what Alex says about it.
Well,
Do you know what part of Russia he was from?
Alex?
Yeah.
God, he told me he was in the Russian army. He was on the Finland border. He says he's got family both in Russia and Ukraine. So I imagine it'd be right around that
He's
area.
kind of on the west, so he might have an interesting opinion on Ukraine.
Yeah, I talk to him every once in a while about it. But yeah, maybe we'll
Because
do that next
my friend was kind of from central Russia.
Mhm.
So if Alex is over on the western side, it'd be interesting to hear his take.
Yeah, maybe you can get your friend to come on too.
I'll try. He's like a nuclear physicist or something. I probably never told you the story. When I got my top secret clearance in the military, he came up as a hit on my.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Just being friends with him in high school made him a hit on my clearance.
Awesome.
But, we're a little over an hour. Maybe tell people we'll tune in next week. We'll try and get Alex on here, because that might be an interesting, just for a little bit, to have him on and give us some of the background. Whoa, we got a comment over there. He's probably got some comments on Russia.
VOR.red, maybe.
Check that out. We'll get Alex on here, and maybe he could give us some insight on the Russia-Ukraine divide.
Yeah, maybe.
Thanks for tuning in. Guess some of you popped over to Rumble. I didn't see any Rumble comments come through, so if you made them, I apologize. I didn't see them. I'll look into if there were any made during the live stream, and we'll see if we can get them on here. Thanks everybody that watched on YouTube and Facebook. Follow our Instagram. Just search Rhodes #2 Liberty. I checked the website. Somebody said it wasn't working. www.rhodes2liberty.com, and it came up. So if you see any issues with that, reach out to us and let us know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, tune in next week. We'll have our Clown World update on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble.